Thank you for joining us. We will start with our agenda approval, deletions, additions. Mrs. Mucha.
Thank you very much. We do have one addition in Section 7B1, personnel recommendations.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Move, okay, second?
We have a motion by Mrs. Kelly and a second by Mr. Marshall. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any, I'm sorry. We have to do an individual roll call because Dr. Malkow is joining us via stream. So,
Understand.
Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Malkow?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Thank you. All right, so we'll move on to our correspondence. Mr. Marshall?
I have nothing to report this evening, thank you.
All right. Liaison committee updates. Mr. Marshall?
Again, to be repetitive, nothing to report, thank you.
Mrs. Kelly?
Nothing to report this evening, thank you.
Dr. Medlin?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Dr. Malkow?
Yes, we have a Lake Central Education meeting next Monday, and I'll have more to share after that.
Thank you. And I have nothing for my committees either. So we'll move on to our official school board business topics consent agenda. Mrs. Mucha.
Thank you. I'm asking for approval of minutes for the regular board meeting from May 17th, 2021, and also the approval of claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall.
Second.
Second by Dr. Medlin. Any comments, questions? Hearing none. Mr. Marshall?
Again, aye.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Malkow?
I was not in attendance.
And I am an aye also.
Thank you very much.
I don't think there's any public comments? No, thank you. So we'll move on to our official school board business topics, regular agenda. Mrs. Mucha.
I have two very exciting recommendations for tonight. And the first one, I'm going to let Terry Richardson come up and present for us. He may have gotten first, but he needs a little bit more time to get here. So we're going to go ahead with our second recommendation. Is he here? He's here. There you go.
I apologize for that. My name's Terry Richardson. I am the precision machine instructor here at the high school. This is Dylan Derringer. Tell you a little bit about what we're here and what this achievement is about. Precision machine class that Dylan is in and that I teach, we're required to be a part of a career and technical student organization. So we choose what's called Skills USA. There's about 300,000 students throughout the country who are involved in this organization, and Dylan's one of them. And they focus on leadership skills, workplace readiness, and they offer opportunities for contests. So last year we got bumped out of the contest because of COVID, so we weren't able to do that last year, but we were able to do it this year. The students were given a blueprint on a couple different parts to make, one on a lathe and one on a milling machine, and then he had to also do two online tests, correct? Yeah, so there was some, our advisory committee members were involved with this, proctoring the test. Dylan's parents and grandparents were at the contest, and Mrs. Anderson proctored the written portion in our computer lab here. So I just would like to recognize everybody that was a part of this. Dylan made the parts. You had 25 minutes to do these parts. Dylan did a great job, and that's why he's the state champion. So, so the board would like to recognize your achievement and achievement for myself also.
Here.
move over just a little bit. Are you comfortable doing that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And for our next exciting one, I'm going to introduce Mrs. Logan, and she has a special gift from the Mrs. Clary's class.
Members of the board, we would like to thank you so much for allowing us to be here this evening. We weren't sure if it would be possible this year, and it really means a lot because the kids have been working very hard. So tonight we would like to recognize Mrs. Crary's class. I'm going to ask Mrs. Crary to come down now. Mrs. Crary led her students in the Word Masters Challenge, which is an exercise in critical thinking where students learn sets of words and then complete analogies expressing various kinds of logical relationships. There are 3 20-minute analogy solving meets each year where students compete nationally, and Mrs. Crary's 3rd grade class competes in the most difficult gold version, and they came in 3rd place in the nation this year. So. So the first one goes to Mrs. Crary. Are you ready? Shreya Abhyankar. Logan Bluette. Jackson Bosma. Jesse Cruz. David Darnell. Noah Gonzalez. Caleb Gregerson. Anna Mary Ibarra. Anthony Colinsis. Clark McDowell. Michael Montgomery. Adam Mundell. Max Pulowski. Samson Perez. Lauren Rhodes. Sophia Seaman. Walter Simkus. Alexander Sloan. Avery Smotrilla. Logan Trask. Adam Wilson. Brendan Whitwet. And Zachary Watkins. They've got good brains, and don't they also look really handsome and beautiful tonight? And I would just like to acknowledge all of the parents who help study and help the children prepare to do well on the test. So thank you all. Thank you.
Mrs. Logan, can I make a short comment?
Yes.
It is a pleasure to see the future leaders of the world here. Thank you very much.
You're going to excuse them.
I'm a pretty fascinating speaker, but at this point, you might want to go out into the hall and take pictures of your beautiful children and enjoy the rest of your evening. You certainly may stay, but tell me whenever you're ready. That's what they're going out there for a group picture. Yes, absolutely. That's pretty impressive, first in the nation. That's impressive awards, both of them.
All right. Mrs. Mucha, back to you.
We have a Lake Central Corporation School Board resolution in support of military families that you have in your packet. Just bring to your attention that there are 1 million Americans bravely serving in our service, with over 20,000 children who tend to move several times during their educational career, and these are some unique challenges for these families. We are in great gratitude and support for all of our military personnel, their families and their spouses, and the veterans. Lake Central School Corporation will establish a trained point of contact in each building to support military families, and resolve that the Lake Central School Corporation will make every effort to connect military families with the resources that they need. And this is signed by the Lake Central School Board of Trustees.
Do we have a motion?
I would like to make a motion approving that recommendation.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall. Second by Dr. Medlin. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly? Dr. Malco?
Aye.
And I am an aye also. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do have a paper for each of you to sign, and it is well-deserved for our military families. Thank you for doing this.
Well deserved, yes.
My last item in Dr. Varacco's name is a professional leave form for him to attend the ISBA school law seminar in June.
I move that he go to the seminar.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin,
Second.
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any questions or comments? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
We'll move right into Director of Human Resources Personnel, Mrs. Mucha.
I am asking for the personnel recommendations as listed in your packet.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall,
Second.
Second by Mrs. Kelly. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
And I am an aye also. Motion passes.
Thank you, I appreciate it. We also have in your packet the list of summer school teachers and staff members that will be working at the elementary, middle school, and high school. She's going to present the high school, or I have the high school on here, I'm sorry. And I do want to ask for the high school that there might be a couple of additional teachers that are needed because we are getting more people interested in doing credit recovery. So 15 more people showed up today than we were expecting, which is a good thing. So we'll see how the numbers go, and then we might end up adding more personnel.
All right. Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept the personnel as stated and with any other additions needed.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin,
Second?
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
And I am an aye also.
Thank you
Motion
very
passes.
much. Appreciate it. I also wanted to bring to you a proposed elementary assistant principal compensation. This would be instead of the deans that we have currently at the elementary school. As you're aware, the issues just become more complex as the years go on in the area of English language learners, special ed, and more complex discipline concerns. We need the support for our elementary principals, so we are asking for the addition or changing from deans to assistant principals at each of the elementary schools. So there would be an assistant principal at each elementary school. We would offer them a fixed salary to all of them, the insurance package, and then some of the additional benefits based on their 195 days.
I make a motion to approve that.
We have a motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second?
second by Dr. Medlin. Any questions or comments?
I have a short comment. I think this opportunity to make that move forward is well received from this board member. Thank you.
Will this take effect July 1st or
Yes.
August 1st? Oh, July 1st. Okay, thank you.
Well, it will, but they will only work 195 days. They aren't like
Understood.
the rest of the administrators.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
And I am an aye also. Motion passes.
Thank you, I appreciate it, and our elementary principals appreciate it also. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have also the pleasure of introducing our high school athletic director, Chris Enyard, and he is going to give us a report on the current state of all the money in athletics that he gathered over the winter season.
Thank you. When you got to your seat, I had put down our review of our winter seasons, and as much as the spring as I could put together, we still have a few programs going that I'll get to. But in the winter, we had 242 athletes, 145 females and 97 males. 42% of our winter athletes were considered scholar athletes, which means they maintained a 3.66 GPA or higher. So that was up almost 10%, which with COVID and all the online learning, something happened this spring that had seen. We had a lot, it was the other way. We had a lot of students that were ineligible to participate, more probably than any time in my career. And the only thing I can think of is just the time out of school, and kids, with the e-learning platform, got a little complacent, and then it ended up catching up to them. On the next page is our income. The winter, I talked to you in the fall about, I anticipated a pretty poor winter with moving indoors from outside sports, as well as the COVID spikes. So most of the seasons we were limited to, if any fans, we were allowed 2 parents and guardians per player. So 2 per player. So our gate receipts, we were just a little over $18,000. As compared to 2019 and 20, we were over $50,000 in gate receipts. We didn't sell any seasons passes this year. Fundraising was another opportunity that we took to, with COVID and a lot of people losing or being out of work or not losing a job or not being able to work because of the COVID. In 2019 and 20, we raised about $89,000 for our programs. This year, we cut back on as limited as we could on fundraising. So we had $37,396 in fundraising and team fees. Concessions were about $5,000. We were able to open for like the last 4 weeks of the season, basically, is where we hit. As compared to 2019-20 when we were almost at $20,000. IHSA, that's shared income, basketball sectionals, you're allowed to, you profit share the profit. So we got about $6,000 from the IHSA. On the next page is our expenses. Well, I wish we didn't need all the officials that we needed, but things must go on. So game workers, and we didn't use any security this year until we got to swim sectionals just because of the limited capacity. So game workers was a little over $8,000. Officials were a little over $15,000. We pay for our golf course. We use Palmyra throughout the year. That's the middle of the year. While they're shut down, they like the paycheck. So that's $6,000 that we pay annually to use it in the fall and the spring for our seasons. Equipment, team gear, and travel and lodging. We were able to cut that in more than half. Obviously, when you have less money coming in, you got to cut it where you can. So we had a little over $44,000 there. Training room and weight room upgrades. Just tape, machine broke that we had to get fixed. That was about $13,000. Corporation transportation fee. We moved that to Skyward and online the last couple of years. I think that works out fairly well. I think me and Rob like it, that we're not just collecting it and then turn around writing checks to each other and trying to figure out the process. Miscellaneous fees, just office needs and everything else was about $11,000. Hospitality, usually we have hospitality rooms like crazy, but this year the only one we did was for swim sectionals that we hosted. Concessions, you can see there again. And then the IHSA, when you host for the IHSA, you also have to give them a cut as well. So while we got a little over $6,000 from them, they got $3,585 of it back. So, season results from the winter. Boys basketball lost in the IHSA sectional semifinals. Boys swimming, they placed second in the DAC. And we had individuals and relays qualify for the state swim and dive meet, and that was highlighted by Zach Ramachi's 8th place finish in diving. Boys wrestling, we finished second in sectionals and third at regionals. We had 2 individuals qualify for the state finals, and that was highlighted by Jake Sues, finishing 8th this year.
He says thank you.
Girls basketball lost in the IHSA sectional championship. That was a weird one, where in the fall, our volleyball team, we got struck out with COVID and we went and played with our freshman team. Girls basketball had the bye, but then the day before the game, Munster had COVID strike their team, so we went to the sectional championship without playing a game and lost to Maryville in that game. Girls swimming finished third in the DAC. We had several individuals and relays qualify for the state meet, and that was highlighted by Paige Baker finishing 8th place in the 50 freestyle. Girls gymnastics finished 4th at the IHSA state meet as a team, and Liliana Ventura Sullivan placed 4th on the beam. Cheer, they have their state competition, and they added where they compete as in game day, which is like a sideline cheer. It's not the big routine that most of you that we associate with. So they did win a state championship as a game day routine. And then dance won their 26th consecutive, because last year there wasn't one, so we'll just skip last year and keep going with consecutives. And they also added a national title when they were in Florida. So they had a very, very nice year.
Congratulations to all
Yes.
those, too.
So that wraps up my winter. And then we'll move on to the spring. In the spring, we had 115 girls, 152 boys, and 267 total athletes. We haven't finished our scholar athlete report because we still have 2 teams going. So we'll be doing that probably over the next 2 weeks. In the Duneland Athletic Conference, we had a very good year in the spring across the board for our teams. We had softball that were co-champions. Tennis tied for 5th. They actually went undefeated in everything else except they lost 4 matches in the conference. So their only losses were to Duneland Athletic Conference. It's the year you beat Munster, but you can't beat Crown Point in your sectional to get out of that regional. So they had a very good year. Track were champion. Girls track was champions in the Duneland Athletic Conference. Boys were champions as well. Golf placed 4th, and boys track finished 6th. For our IHSA postseasons, girls softball won semi-state on Saturday, so they will be playing Roncalli this Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time. Tickets are online. We tweeted out the link if you want to go. Everything has to be done online, so there's no ticket sales at the gate, or you can watch it on ihsatv.org from home if you want to watch it there. But they'll play Saturday at 6 p.m. our time against Roncalli. So it'll be a great pitcher's duel in that one. Girls tennis, like I alluded to, they lost in the sectional semifinals to Crown Point. In girls track, they won the team sectional, they won the regional championship, and they had their most points ever and finished 7th at state. When you say that, they were 12 points away from being a state champion as a team because it's so spread out. There's so many individuals. You get your points by your individuals competing a lot like wrestling. So you don't qualify as a team, you qualify as the individual, and your team gets the points as you place. But we had our top finisher was LaTreasure Johnson. She finished as a state runner-up again this year in the long jump. Riley Clay also placed 7th in the long jump. S.S. Johnson placed 5th in the high jump. Ann Carmichael was 8th in the 300-meter hurdles. Melissa Fritz was placed 8th in the 100-meter dash and 9th in the 200-meter dash. In our 4x100-meter relays and our 4x400-meter relay all finished 8th. Those are all medal placings. We had a pole vaulter down there that finished 12th, and so we had a very nice showing, and a lot of these girls will be back next year. On the boys' side, baseball lost the sectional championship. Boys golf, they won sectionals. That was Friday. We hosted that on Friday. On Thursday, we'll be hosting the regional at Sandy Pines in DeMott. And then the top 3 teams or top 3 individuals not on an advancing team would qualify for state the following week. So while we finished 5th in the conference and finished 4th at the DAC meet on Tuesday, we came back, we beat Crown Point by 7 strokes, who beat us by 12. I mean, so golf's a funny game. So either you're on or you're off, and luckily we were on that day, and hopefully we can keep going. Boys track, we had participants advancing in the IHSA state meet as well, and that was highlighted by Cameron Gathers placing 6th in the 100-meter dash. He's a sophomore. This is his 10th track meet ever. He was a baseball player until this year, so not a bad year for a young kid that had never ran track before. And our 4x400-meter relay finished 4th. We were 2nd going into the home stretch, so it was an amazing race to watch. And then unified sports, we have a unified track and field team. They finished 5th at the IHSA sectional meet and ended their season. Now income, so gate receipts were $37,300, and I compare that to 2 years ago so you get a little perspective. 2 years ago, because last year we didn't have any spring sports, we only had gate receipts for $26,487. So while we had restrictions on all our facilities throughout the spring, it just shows that we sold out. We hit our restriction almost every game. I think I contributed a lot to a lost season last year where parents and grandparents and everybody else wanted to come out and watch the spring sports. So tournament fees, we host various golf and softball invitationals and baseballs during the season. We raised about $4,000. Fundraising fees, same thing. We opened it up a little bit in the spring, but we tried to keep it down. So the fundraising fees were at $72,740, and then concessions were about $3,345. As far as expenses, Game workers I'm guessing they're going to end up about $6,500, $6,500. I won't pay them until we host our last event, which is Thursday for the regional. Officials were $10,149.06. Field and facility maintenance, $1,523.76. The big thing there was a summer ago when we redid the JV baseball drainage. That was a $27,000 bill, but we were losing games like crazy, and we only lost 2 games this year on that field just because we were able to get the water off in a little more timely manner to let it dry out. Equipment and team gear, we spent $76,666. Miscellaneous, $7,000. That's the office needs, tickets, anything else. In concessions, we raised about $2,658 or spent to fund about $2,658.96. On the last page, I just think it's important to mention on May 26th, the Booster Club president, she's been with the Booster Club for a long time. She was the Gridiron president, served most recently as the Gridiron president as well for the football club, which Jen Chad passed away on that Wednesday morning. She leaves behind her husband, three young men. Her youngest has just finished his sophomore year. They all played football for us. They were amazing Lake Central athletic supporters for every sport, not just the ones their kids were involved in. And she's going to be greatly missed by our athletic programs. So.
Without a doubt.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to the coaches that did the award ceremony over, the
Virtual.
Virtual, yes. So they did a great job, at least the 2 coaches that were with my kids. So kudos to them.
Yeah, we're ready to get back in person next year.
Yes, I understand. I understand, so, thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll move on to our Director of Primary Education, but I see she's not here, so Mrs. Castaneda, are you presenting?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Teresa's only item is to seek your approval for the professional leave requests that were in your board packet.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall,
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Malko? And I am an aye also. So motion
Wait,
passed.
okay. Sorry. I grabbed the wrong button. Aye.
And I am an aye also. Motion passes. Thank you. So now we'll move on to Director of Secondary Education, Mrs. Castaneda.
Thank you. For my first item, I am seeking your approval for the professional leave requests.
I move to accept the professional leave requests.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin,
Second?
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any questions or comments?
What was that motion regarding?
Under Director of Secondary Education, Professional Leave Requests, D1.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any questions? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Malko?
Aye.
And I am an aye also. Motion passes.
Thank you. My second item is to ask for your approval for the field trip request.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall,
Second?
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any questions or comments? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Malko?
Aye.
And I am an aye also. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. And then my last item is just to give you an update on actually both elementary and middle school summer school. At your stations this evening, you received some information, and Dr. Malkow, I will send that to you. For the elementary level, we have 350 students who are enrolled in grades K through 4. Our average class sizes range from 16 students to 22 students in 4th grade. As you know, it's running Monday through Thursday for about 3 hours, and that'll go from today until July 1st. There's a resource teacher available to help support our students with special needs. We also have 9 paras supporting the elementary level for additional assistance for all of our students. And then in terms of instruction, Mrs. Schoen wanted me to share that all students will participate in reading and math instruction daily. The focus in reading will be to support progress towards reading and comprehending grade level fiction and nonfiction texts. In math, instruction will be on grade level math concepts as well as math facts. and students will participate in whole class lessons and differentiated small group instruction. If you flip to the next page, there's an update for middle school summer school. We have close to 130 students enrolled. We've been able to keep class sizes down to around 15 to 17 students per class, which has been wonderful. Again, the same dates, the same times as the elementary level. We have 8 gen ed teachers, 1 special education teacher supporting our students with special needs, and then also 4 paraprofessionals staffing the program. In terms of instruction, students will get math and reading instruction daily. For English language arts, the primary focus is on those reading and writing skills. They're going to look at both fiction and nonfiction texts. The skills are going to focus on some lessons on central ideas, summarizing, close reading, critical thinking, and that the students are going to do writing each week, culminating in an essay at the end of the 4 weeks. In terms of math, we gathered input from our teachers and identified 4 major concepts that they wanted to work on for each grade level. Lesson plans were developed that include a balance of conceptual understanding, application, and procedural fluency. And then it lists there the different areas that we're covering in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. Any questions? We were excited to see all the students this morning despite the rainy start. I know there were a lot of teachers who were very happy to see some students in person for the first time all year. So overall, aside from a couple traffic flow hiccups, we're off and running.
Good.
There you go.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah.
And Mrs. Castaneda, did you say you would send me that document?
Yes, we'll share it with you. It's a Google Doc.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll move on to Mrs. Grimella, Director of Student Services.
Thank you. I'm going to continue with that theme and talk about our extended school year program that also started today. So this is our programming for students with special needs. And just to give you some enrollment numbers, we have 20 students participating in our elementary applied skills classes, 8 middle school applied skills students, and 5 students in our high school program. So those students all attend twice a week for 5 hours a day. We have 18 students receiving speech and language services, 10 students with unique needs that are receiving individualized academic instruction, 8 students receiving occupational therapy and physical therapy, and then 3 students who are receiving homebound services. And as Mrs. Castaneda mentioned, we did add resource teachers to summer school. That's the first year we've done this, but we wanted to make sure it was accessible for all of our students. So we do have an elementary teacher in middle school. And then we did add additional para support to support our students with special needs, English language learners, RTI plans, and 504 plans. So everybody came in this morning. We had our first group this morning. We'll have a different group coming in tomorrow, but things, just like they did for summer school, went pretty smoothly. So thank
Good
you.
to hear.
Very good.
Thank you.
Becky.
Thank you. Move on to our Director of Facilities, Mr. Ledger.
Thank you, Mrs. Seuss. Tonight, I just want to give the board an update. In your packet, you found our summer project list. Last year, it was limited due to COVID. We're off to a fast start already, even though we haven't been out of school a week. As you can see by out front, we started the sidewalk this morning here at the high school. We've also started the Colleen secured entry this morning, and we'll start the Pifer secure entry Wednesday. I worked that out with Mrs. Cruz and Mr. DeLauder because the demo's kind of loud, so they displaced the secretaries today at Colleen and tomorrow, and they will again at Pifer on Wednesday and Thursday. So those projects have started. With the cooperation of Mr. Newton and Mr. Bagley, we did finish our roof repairs at both Kaler and the freshman center that were damaged for the winter, just here right before school ended, which is a good thing. I don't know if you've been watching, but a big challenge this year is construction materials because of COVID and pandemic. I mean, my roofers already told me now we're lucky because roof insulation is 8 to 12 to 16 weeks out now. Fasteners, you can't even get fasteners. So there's a lot of challenges that we're going to go through this summer to try to get things done. But I've been working closely with the contractors and keeping the principals updated. But so far, so good. And I'll keep you guys updated throughout the summer. Any other questions on what you saw in your packet?
Your list is large again.
Yes, it is large again. It's large and challenging, but we're off to a pretty good start.
Sure,
all
sure.
considering.
Mr. Ledger,
Yes.
when you mentioned the sidewalk, is that the sidewalk on the south side of the high school?
Yes, between doors E and F. Yes, on the south side.
Okay, cool. And then my other question would be, I didn't see it on your list, but perhaps it falls under another umbrella. Is there any work that's going to be done on some of the softball fields that are not in really good condition? As such concrete is protruding from the ground?
Janice, can you repeat that?
Oh, if it's hard to hear me, I will send them an email. That's okay.
Okay, just going to send you an email.
Okay.
Any other
Thank you.
questions, comments? Thank you. Well, now we'll move on to our Director of Technology, Mr. Marino.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Rick.
I just wanted to give you a quick update on some of the technology can you hear me okay? I
Yes.
feel like, just want to give you an update on some of the technology purchases we've done this past school year. One of the goals we had at early last year was to make sure that we had enough Chromebooks for all of the students. So we purchased 5,000 Chromebooks. The nice thing is they're only about $240 a piece. That's a lot cheaper than an iPad and definitely cheaper than a desktop. We were able to, because we had so many Chromebooks and one for each student, we were able to reduce the number of desktops that we currently have. We didn't take them out of the labs. We basically started taking them out of classrooms where teachers were using the desktops as for small projects. But now they're able to use the Chromebooks whenever they need to do a project. So that turned out really nice. We currently have about 11,600 Chromebooks. We also purchased about 350 iPads as part of our replacement schedule. We didn't add any additional iPads. These were all iPads that we needed to replace because the current iPads were going to expire soon, so we had no choice. We've been trying to move toward Chromebooks instead of iPads, but the lower grade levels, they still prefer the iPads better. We have currently about 2,100 iPads. We just ordered 256 desktop computers as part of our replacement schedule. The majority of those will be going to teachers in the classroom, and the total number of desktops are about 3,000 now. That's down from just under 5,000 a couple of years ago. A few years ago, we started replacing some of our older smartboards in the classroom. After replacing about 132 of them this summer, we won't have any more of the old smartboards in the classroom. The majority of them will be the new flat panels, or basically like a flat screen TV is what they look like. And except for the high school, we still have some of the light raised projectors, but our plan is to replace those over the course of the next year or two. Over the spring break, we did replace about 330 of the wireless access points and the wireless controllers. Our plan is to replace about 530 of the wireless access points in December during the break. Every year, our demand for internet bandwidth has been increasing. So in order to meet that demand, we plan on upgrading our wide area network and our internet service. And I've mentioned this in the past, but for anyone that's new here, I'll repeat it. But the way we're set up here at Lake Central, the internet comes into the high school, and from the high school, it gets distributed to all of our schools through our wide area network. And they're basically just fiber lines that go from the high school to every school. And currently, they're sitting at 1 gig. We're doubling that to 2 gig this summer, and we're also upgrading our internet service from 6 gig to 10 gig. Any questions?
So are you telling me all those smart panels that we raised all that money for back on our cooling days on PTO are outdated?
A long time ago.
Yeah, they're all outdated. Okay. I mean, it was just like last year.
I know, doesn't it?
I'm teasing. Many moons ago, so.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
All right, we'll move on to our Director of Business Services, Mr. James.
Thank you very much. My first item is to seek your approval for the donations that were listed in your board packet.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall,
Second?
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Marco?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. My other item is to seek your approval for the professional leave request in your board packet.
So moved.
We have a motion by Dr. Malkow,
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any questions or comments? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Dr. Medlin?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Malkow?
Aye.
And I am an aye also. Motion passes.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. We do have somebody that'd like to come to speak to the board, Mrs. Allison Kwiatkowski, or Miss, excuse me.
Hello,
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Allison Kwiatkowski. I'm a school psychologist in Lansing. I'm also a mom of a little girl who just finished her first year in kindergarten here at Lake Central. I wanted to talk today because I cannot attend the next meeting, so I wanted to be here because I know you're talking about the course of action for the next school year next time. So I just wanted to talk about kids and their masks today. So my kindergartner is a fun-loving, social, intelligent, sweet little girl who loves social interaction. And we chose to send her to school because she thrives on that. We believe keeping her home, away from her friends, from teachers, and class activities would be more harm than good. So we wanted to send her in person. And thank you so much for giving us that opportunity. I can't thank you enough for that. I work at Lansing, and the kids there didn't have that opportunity. So I am very grateful for that, and she is as well. Okay. Like the rest of the country in the beginning, we were all in the dark and chose to go along with the mask mandate because of what authorities said was best. My daughter put up with this for a full school year without a single complaint, but not without adverse effects. She now gets nervous around crowds of people. She worries about not wearing a mask in certain places. Time will tell if the effects would be worse. Our children have to wear a mask 5 days a week for over 6 hours a day. I think that just sits heavy on your heart when you think about it. Their mouths and noses have been covered for over 1,200 hours because of the decisions that were made. I am hoping that decision was not easy to make, and I'm sure it wasn't. But now we have more than enough data to support the unmasking of our children. I am here to give a voice to my daughter and all those other kids that can't speak for themselves. Emergency mask mandates are meant to last for a limited amount of time, 30 to 60 days. And our state, we lifted that mandate eventually. But we did. However, we still have to deal with businesses, government buildings, and schools that choose to continue to require masks. My biggest problem lies with the schools because of the psychological, emotional, and physical effects on the children. There are several studies that show that masks are not effective in blocking human-to-human transition of viral infectious diseases such as COVID, and that wearing masks has been demonstrated to have substantial adverse psychological and physiological effects. The potential harm that masks can cause to youth far outweigh the health benefits to them and to the public. In countries such as Denmark and Sweden, it has been proven that children are not likely to be affected by the virus or transmit the virus. We have states like California, New York, Illinois, who still enforce mask mandates while the case counts continue to rise. And then we have other states like Texas and Florida that lifted the mandates and have seen a drop in cases. Based on the CDC's infection fatality ratio, the best estimate of surviving COVID for children 0 to 17 years old is 99.998%. Children are not drivers of transmission and have been found to act as a brake on transmission for best empirical data. There are virtually no fatality risk. The suicide and depression rates in children and adolescents have skyrocketed and are higher now than at any time in history due to these mass mandates, lockdowns, and remote learning. In addition to the data to support unmasking our children, we now have many teachers that are vaccinated. So that's another reason that our children should not be masked next year. As a school psychologist, I have been trained in mental health, learning, and behavior to help children and youth succeed academically, behaviorally, socially, and emotionally. We are uniquely qualified to assess student emotional and behavioral needs. We understand long-term chronic problems and short-term issues that students face. Therefore, as a school psychologist, I understand the harm that masking our children can have on their development in all these areas. In my professional opinion, we are inflicting daily trauma onto our kids by requiring them to wear masks, and I think this needs to stop. Children are being forced to carry a burden that was never theirs to carry. And I think it's up to you guys to help lead them out of that darkness and into the light. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you for your comments. All right, we will move on to our board comments and consideration of future agenda items. Mr. Marshall.
As far as this evening is concerned, I have no specific comments. I just want to indicate to the young lady that just spoke, we do appreciate your comments. However, it's an individual decision, and I happen to be on the flip side of your feelings. I just wanted to let you know on a personal level. Thank you.
Dr. Medlin?
I look forward to establishing goals for the next school year. I was hoping that we could have a work session before the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Mrs. Kelly?
Yes, I just wanted to echo Chris's sentiments about Jen Chad. Jen and I served on the Gridiron Board together, and she was an enthusiastic supporter of all of our athletes, and she will be missed. Please keep her family in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Malco? Oh, she's gone? Okay, sorry. And just, it was a nice graduation ceremony. Thank you to all that helped put that together. Good luck to our teams that are participating in the next week or two, and hope to see good things come with that. And that's all I have today. So with that, we'll move to board calendar, future activities. Mrs. Mooch.
Besides the excitement of watching our two teams progress, which we're looking forward to, we will see you all on June 21st.
June 21st it is. All right, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Move to